Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. For today, I'm going to continue my little spree here and do some more cards with sets I've never done videos on before. So for today, we're going to be using the fresh fruit set and focusing on that, and we're going to make this super cute and easy birthday card. I love this card because it's a little bit different than the stuff that you normally see with this cutout here in the middle, and I just think it's super cute. And honestly, this is so easy to do, and I'm going to show you guys how to walk through it step by step. But this is the card we're going to be making for today. Set that off to the side. The supplies we're going to need, obviously, like I said, our fresh fruit stamp set, since we're going to be featuring this today. I'm going to be using Watermelon Wonder and Versamark ink, so not a ton of ink that you need for this one. This one's really easy. I am going to use some of our Brights sequins, just a couple to add a little bit of interest on the card. You don't have to use these, but I think it adds a little something, so that's why I went ahead and grabbed those. And then I'm also using the Stampin' Up! Clear embossing powder. For our paper, I don't know what I'm getting over there. For our paper, we're using 3 different colors. Today we're using a piece of Watermelon Wonder, and this is cut at 3 3/4 by 5 inches. I have a piece of Whisper White, which is cut at 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then our card base is Old Olive, and this is cut at 8 1/2 by 5 1/2. You're also going to need a trimmer of some kind. So I'm going to be using my Stampin' trimmer. I just didn't include it in this because you guys will see it in a second, and I'm sure you've seen it before. So let's go ahead and jump in. Okay, so to start off, we're going to start embossing our little piece of Watermelon Wonder here. So for this, I'm going to be using Versamark, and then, like I said, we're using our clear embossing powder for today. Now, I did want to point out, if you wanted to just use Watermelon Wonder and skip the embossing step, you'll get a very similar look to the card that I'm going to do today. I just like the embossing powder because it gives it a little bit more texture, and it's just another added interest to the card, since this is, for the most part, a pretty simple card. The design, at least, it does add a little bit of interest. So I just wanted to throw that out there. If you wanted to just do this stamping directly on here with the Watermelon Wonder and skip the embossing, you could absolutely do that and get a card that looks very, very similar. But I'm going to go ahead and emboss it because I like the embossed look. So the only stamps that we're going to be using aside from our sentiment is the, I was almost going to call this a watermelon. We're going to be using the strawberry and then the little strawberry topper. Now, both of these have outlines, and we're not going to use the outlines. We're just going to use the full image stamps. So the way that I'm going to do this is I have my Versamark, and I just kind of start in one corner and I work my way down the paper, and I alternate doing the strawberry and the topper like at the same time. I was going to say real time. I just don't know if that's the right term that I want to use. But I alternate and do them at the same time, just so that I can really get a good idea of my spacing. And I'm just going to keep going and switch back and forth until I've stamped all over this piece of Watermelon Wonder. Okay, so now that I have my little embossed, or sorry, it's not embossed yet. We have our ink on here, and I'm going to take my clear embossing powder. And I'm sorry if this video is kind of dark today, guys. I need to get some better lighting, and it's the first day that it snowed in Colorado this season, and it's a little dark outside. I usually rely a lot on natural lighting, so I'm hoping that this isn't too dark. Sorry, I got sidetracked there for a second. But right now I'm just putting that clear embossing powder on here, and it does show up white on here, but once we actually emboss it, it does not stay white. I keep doing that. I'm not doing a very good job. Oh man. And I am going to take a little paintbrush, as always, and there are just a couple bits in here that I just want to clean up a little bit. It's not super important, it's not a super big deal, and especially with this stamp set, because it does have a little bit of a distressed, in a sense, look. Like, the images aren't completely solid in some of the areas, if that's the best way to put it. So this one, it's really simple and easy to do. because you don't have to worry about being absolutely perfect. It's going to look fine without it. So I'm going to clean up the little mess that I just made really fast, and then I'm going to go ahead and heat set this. Okay, so now that we have our piece all heat set, now we get to do the fun stuff. And that is creating this really cool area to stamp in the middle. So I need to grab my trimmer over here. I'm gonna show you guys how to do it. It is honestly so easy to do, and it's really, really fun. So I have my Stampin' trimmer, and I'm going to take my piece and I'm just going to turn it and put it in here at an angle. So I'm going to cut right here. It doesn't really matter where exactly you cut. It's completely up to you. So you pick where exactly you want this little stripe to go through. Like I said, it's completely up to you. You can do it whichever way you like. So I think I'm going to do mine about there. Again, no matter how you do this, it looks awesome. So I'm going to do that and cut my piece. Sounds very scary. It's not though, I promise. So I'm now going to take my, actually let me think. And now I have a crazy dog. I'm trying to think about some stuff that I'm trying to think of how I did this last time, because I designed this card a few days ago. So I'm going to take, so we have our piece like this, and I'm going to do my next cut here. So I don't really need this piece right this second. I'm just going to set that off to the side, and I'm going to go ahead and cut my next little bit. Now it's completely up to you how wide you want this area to be. I'm going to do mine, I don't know. I'm just going to guess. I have no idea how big this actually is right here. It's about a half, you know what? We'll just go with a ½ inch and do it that way. So the one thing that I will say is if you're using the Stampin' trimmer, we have these grid lines on here. You want to line up where we just cut with one of these grid lines, and that'll ensure that you get a nice straight section in your card. Hopefully this is all making sense. I'm not sure if I'm explaining this very well. I'm not an expert at this. I just kind of did it. So, okay, there we go. And cut that. See, there you go. So, I'm going to take my trimmer away now. We don't need it anymore. And now we have these 3 pieces, and we need to piece these pieces together to put our card together. So, what I have found, you can go ahead and essentially what we're going to do is take our piece of Whisper White, and we're going to put these 2 larger pieces on our Whisper White. Now, I tried doing this, just putting these 2 pieces down and lining it up, and I had a heck of a time being able to line these pieces up. So what I did was I took some washi tape, if I can find the end of this one, and so I'm going to take a couple pieces of washi. Actually, I'll just cut this one. I'll rip this one in half. And I went ahead and pieced this back together and just put some washi tape down to kind of use this insert that I'm basically removing. I'm not going to keep this piece here. I'm using this as a guide so that I know that these are going to line up perfectly when I put it, whoops, that didn't work too well. When I put it down on my piece of Whisper White, I know that it's going to work out perfectly, and then I'm just going to remove that center strip once I get everything adhered down. So let me put another piece of washi on here so that these stick together. Perfect. So I'm going to flip this over, grab my adhesive, and it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. Like you can see, it's not 100% perfect, but it really does help getting the alignment and the placement situated. So I'm going to just take my adhesive, and I'm not putting adhesive on this middle strip. You want to make sure you don't do that because we're not going to adhere that down. We're going to get rid of that piece. So I'm just going to do it like that. And then I'm going to take my piece of Whisper White and I'm going to line up this. Oops. Be easier if I do it this way. And I'm going to place this just like so. And that way I get it lined up really nice and evenly. And then I'm just going to remove this inner strip and everything is good to go. Now, what I will say is that the corners, the edges, do kind of poke up a little bit. So I'm going to take my fine tip glue pen, and I can't get these two, I can't get the white cap off of the black cap. So this is what mine looks like. It's the fine tip glue pen. You can still use it if that happens to you. I must have gotten some adhesive. Whoa, I went a little crazy with that glue. Let me get a paper towel. Oh man. Just had one. I must have went a little crazy with the glue one day and gotten some in the cap, so it dried up. But you can still use it. It just, you don't have the black part on here. Anyways, so I'm just going to take, and I didn't line that up very well. It's a little wonky, but you know what? We're going to go with it. So I'm just going to take it and squirt just a little dab in under some of these corners just to make sure that nothing comes up. And I think that's pretty good. Make sure I stick my needle back in there. Okay, so now we are going to do our sentiment. And I'm just going to do happy birthday. So let me get that stamp. I need a block. Whoops. Okay. And for this, I am going to use a piece of scratch paper, and then we're going to use Watermelon Wonder just to tie everything together. So try not to get ink on your fingers like me. Oh boy. Okay, so I am going to ink this up, and I'm going to start off by putting a sentiment right smack dab in the middle. This is going to be kind of like my focal point, so I want to make sure that that one lines up really well. Then what I'm going to do is ink it up again, and I'm going to take my piece of scratch paper and I'm going to put it on the edge here where the Watermelon Wonder meets the Whisper White. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I don't want to stamp where our border is of Whisper White. So if you see, we still have that little border right there, and it looks really, really nice. And then I'm just going to take my paper. This one is going to be a little tight because I goofed and wasn't paying attention when I put that down. So we have a really tiny margin over here, but that's okay. Same concept, and it looks good. So hopefully you guys understand what I'm saying. It basically just masks off this little area here, so we still have a nice, crisp, clean white border, and there's nothing there. Super simple. You don't have to do it that way. You can do it out to the edge. I just like the look of this more than doing it all the way out. But it's a complete preference. You do it whichever way you want to do it. So we are almost done with this card. It's like I said, the technique is really, really simple. And once you do it a couple times, it's not that hard. It's easy to do over and over again. So I'm going to take my card base. Going to put down, actually, you know what? I think I'm going to use dimensionals to put down my card. Just do a couple more. I won't go super crazy. Okay, I probably will. One more. Okay, here we... Oops. I seriously go through so many dimensionals, but the thing is that when you buy one pack of dimensionals, you get a ton, so I don't go through that many packs of them, but I use them all the time. I was just thinking about that the other day. Don't ask me why. I think about these random things at random times. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and put down my card onto my card base. Just like that. And then the final touch, and again, you can choose to do this or you can choose not to do it. It's completely up to you. I'm going to take our sequins here and I'm going to fish out some of the green circles. And I'm going to do 3 because everything looks better in odd numbers, and 3 just seems like a good number to work with. So I'm going to take my little sequins, and then I'm going to take glue dots, and I'm going to put a glue dot on here. And I'm just going to put 3 sequins kind of randomly on the card. Now again, this is a complete preference thing. If you don't want to do this, you don't have to. I just think it adds a little bit of something extra to the card. Because it is so monochromatic, I think it just adds another little bit, and it kind of ties in the card base to the green, the old olive card base. It ties it into the rest of the card. So I personally like it, but again, if you don't like it, don't do it. It's not a big deal. And there is the card for today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this one and enjoy this new technique. And you could use this for anything. You could take any kind of design and just do that little, take that little piece out in the middle, and it's super fun, and it's just different. I think it's something that a lot of people probably haven't seen before. So I really hope you guys enjoy it, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!